Retirement is unattainable for 2 in 5 workers who want it, and nearly 1 in 5 of retirees think they will never be able to fully give up work. Those are the findings of HSBC's latest Future of Retirement report. Michael Schweitzer from the bank joins me to discuss. Well, Michael, these statistics are definitely alarming. Where would you say the situation is most acute?
The survey results are pretty dispersed in terms of the acuity of issues from market to market. So, for example, in France, a higher percentage of people, roughly 54% of the people, don't think that they'll ever be able to retire. Whereas in the Asian continent, that number is quite a bit lower. And that's impacted a lot through kind of lifestyle, the tax regime of the state, and various other factors.
So what's the causes for this? What's the reasons that these countries that have the biggest problem, France, for example, and I think China also was on there, what's driving this?
Basically what people told us is that the barriers to retirement for them, A, from a financial perspective, was I haven't saved enough. B, I have people who are dependent on my income. C, that they haven't put themselves in a position because of debt to be able to afford retirement. People told us that they still wanted to work, they had commitments to work, that they didn't feel like they were ready to stop working, that they had more to give. And then thirdly, that people just hadn't mentally got their head around the idea of retirement. So those were a bit surprising.
These findings are going to have a huge economic impact globally. Talk me through that a little bit.
The UN has estimated that by 2050, a quarter of the world's population will be over the age of 65. So it's critical for people to start saving and to start saving early. Anything will be helpful. The impact on global economies long term will be significant if we don't address the issue.
Are there any countries out there that could act as a model because they have a sort of good retirement plan or anything like that?
It varies greatly from country to country. You have states where they're very actively involved and there's a pension system. You have states where the onus is on the individual to save. Many institutions today are trying to weigh just where that fits. You've seen the changes that have come through in the UK in the last year and most recently in the last few weeks. So countries are trying to grapple with this growing population of people moving towards retirement.
And you mentioned in the UK we've got the workplace pension coming in and companies are going to have to address that, and that's happening in other countries as well. Do you think this is going to make much of a difference?
People need as many opportunities to save as they can to take ownership of that. One of the kind of anecdotes you can look at, in a young person at the age of 20, if they start saving £50 a month through the age of 65 and earn a rate of 8%, they'll have accumulated £265,000 by the time that they retire. If they wait and start when they're 30, just 10 years later, that pot will grow to roughly £115,000. So the differential is £150,000 on £6,000 worth of contributions. It's not the contributions that matter, it's the time.
I think a lot of people are shy of pensions at the moment though, because a lot of them are sort of having their pensions cut and that sort of thing. Is that an issue that needs to be addressed, do you think?
Well, I think you're going to continue to see countries put more onus on the individual to save for their retirement. Whether it's something we want to see or not, it's a reality that budgets are stretched and populations are growing, and so governments can't necessarily fund it the way they may have planned to in the past when these programs were enacted. So they are putting more onus on the individual to take ownership for their retirement.